Back at it again, and there was, apparently a tragic situation that happened recently in Florida that was allegedly racially motivated. And there's something important about it that we need to discuss that I don't think enough people are really talking about. And I know mainstream media is going to run with the race narrative, but there's something else that we need to discuss. Like, share, comment, hit that subscribe button if you are new. If you would like to help me out even further with this YouTube algorithm too, watch this video until the very end. It helps out tremendously. I would greatly appreciate it. And with that being said, let's dive in.
Good evening, America. Welcome to Cross Country. Today marks the 60th anniversary of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s I Have a Dream speech. In his speech, Dr. King talked about not judging one another by the color of one's skin, but by the content of one's character.
Yeah, Democrats.
We have come so far as a nation since then. But sadly, on this same day, a masked monster committed a racially targeted attack in the city of Jacksonville, Florida, killing 3 people, then himself.
The shooter had authored several manifestos, one to his parents, one to the media, and one to federal agents. Portions of these manifestos detailed the shooter's disgusting ideology of hate. Plainly put, this shooting was racially motivated, and he hated black people. He wanted to kill.
And, I find it interesting, one, that was released so quickly. Did we ever figure out the motivations of the individual who went to the school, but before that went to another location and found armed security, so they decided against going to that location and ended up going to the school? The situation where they tried to hide the manifesto. Oh no, we can't release it yet. Kind of funny how that works. But here, we know it instantly. I find that quite weird, but let's continue.
The sheriff making it very clear, this is hate, pure and simple. Florida Governor Ron DeSantis responding tonight, calling the shooter a scumbag.
I was able to speak with Sheriff T.K. Waters in Jacksonville about the horrific shooting that took place. This shooting, based on the manifesto that they've discovered from the scumbag that did this, was racially motivated. He was targeting people based on their race. That is totally unacceptable. This guy killed himself rather than face the music and accept responsibility for his actions, and so he took the coward's way out. But we condemn what happened in the strongest possible terms. We've offered support for Sheriff Waters and the city of Jacksonville, and we send our condolences to the victims and their families who were the victims of a very cowardly act.
So this violence is unfortunately not the first of such tragedy. And unless we demand change now, it won't be the last. Reverend P.M. Smith serves as the Huber.
This is where it gets good. Stick around. Listen closely.
Memorial Church in Baltimore, and he joins us now. Reverend, thanks so much for joining the program. This is the anniversary of the March on Washington, and we have come so far as a nation. What do you tell the nation when something like this happens?
Number one, I was 16 at the time of that march. I remember it well. Martin Luther King, Reverend Martin Luther King was a role model for me. Number two, violence. This is making national news. I'm in Baltimore. I'm in the inner city. This is making national news as a mass shooting only because the shooter was white.
Bingo.
Or if it had been a police officer. It would be mass shooting, racially motivated. I'm in Baltimore. We have a mass shooting every weekend. Mm-hmm. Friday to Sunday, there will be 3 or more homicides. Friday to Sunday, there'll be 10 to 15 non-fatal shootings. So my heart goes out. My prayers for the families who lost lives, and that includes the young man, the sick young man, call him another name if you want, the sick young man who did this. But I'm telling you, in Baltimore, in Detroit, in Chicago, in Philadelphia, in St. Louis, mass shooting, 3 or more homicides is normalized with us.
Bingo. And that's what I've talked about before previously in other videos, is that you'll have MSM I'm not even going to call them out individually. We all know who they are. You'll have these mainstream media outlets, right? All of them, just about all of them. Because it's not just the two big ones that, we all know of. One that I was about to name there. But you'll have all of them scream, oh my goodness, the racism in this country, we gotta stop the racism, another mass. But nobody's talking about the situations that happen in Chicago and in Baltimore, as he was just talking about there, every weekend, every single weekend. That's how you know there's an agenda being pushed. They don't really care about these folks. They don't care about these folks. And it's clear, because if you did, you would the same notoriety and the same attention that you put towards a situation like this. And first off, rest in peace to those individuals, right? Condolences to their families. I understand it's a tragic situation. It's never a great situation when you get that phone call. Hey, so-and-so died last night. I know what that feels like. So you can't tell me, well, you don't know what it's like. Yes, I do. I know all too well what that feels like, because it's happened more than once. But we're not here to talk about myself. But my point is, it's sad when they push this agenda and try to make it seem as if they care when they really don't, because they never talk about Chicago. They never talk about Memphis. They never talk about, Baltimore or any of these other cities where there's a mass tragedy every single weekend. You don't see this stuff making front page news or being aired, 24/7 on any mainstream media outlet. You don't see it. And it's time we start calling these folks out on it. They can't get away with this BS anymore. Stop the BS. You don't give a crap. I almost cursed. I'm gonna keep it PG. You don't give a crap. You don't. And we see it now. And I hope everybody else does.
Every week there'll be 3.
Yeah. And I've been to all those cities, Pastor, even to your beloved city, Baltimore. I want to bring in the great Chief, James Craig. He's joining us well. Chief, on this day as the investigation has just started, you got a new sheriff, Republican sheriff, that is there in Jacksonville, Florida, made history down there. He made it clear that it was racially motivated there. And how do you handle an investigation like this, sir?
Well, and Lawrence, thanks for having me on your show. I got to tell you, and I agree with your guests, it's tragic. We don't talk enough about the black-on-black crime occurring in urban areas. I've worked in Los Angeles, Cincinnati, Detroit for 8 years as a chief of police, and mass shootings are not unusual. And certainly
Facts.
Any mass shooting is a tragedy, but when will it stop? And I just got to say, man, it's not the gun, it's the individuals. This guy clearly had some racist intent, given what the Sheriff Waters talked about, but enough. It's enough. But let's talk about the other mass shootings that happen every single day in places like Chicago.
I got to ask, Chief, because the sheriff, during his press conference, talked about the Baker Act and that it was already implemented. He talked about the parents calling the police. He also said that the parents didn't want him to have guns. So I guess what do we do if we already went through the mental health process? You got the parents that were cooperative with the police. They reported that their concerns for their son. You got an evil guy that has hate in his heart. Is there any solution to this? Because I think the American people, that's what they want. They want solutions to whether there's a brother being killed on the south side of Chicago or a racist that has hate in his heart that goes in and targets people. They want it to end.
Well, Lawrence, there's a void. We can talk ad nauseum about, parents or witnesses calling. Certainly law enforcement has to do their job. I'm certainly not going to be critical of my friends out in Florida. If they became aware of someone that was suffering from mental illness, that expressed a desire to engage in this level of tragic hate and evil, what was done? And if law enforcement dropped the ball, and I'm not suggesting that they did, but we need to look at that. Because we oftentimes, what do we say? You see something, you hear something, you say something. But if you say something and law enforcement doesn't respond, that's a problem. But a lot of it has to do with, and I know this having been a police chief in 3 different cities, you have to have relationships with the community. They have to trust you. And when they trust you, they're going to talk to you. And when they talk to you, they're going to report different levels of violence, no matter how minuscule it might be to most. That's how you respond to a lot of these tragic situations. But we can't just, now, of course, some on the left will start screaming, oh, we need gun control. Gun control is not going to work. If somebody is mentally challenged, mentally ill, or if someone is a violent felon, laws don't work. They don't follow the laws anyway.
Bingo. Destroys that argument right off the rip. But he says something else that I agree with here as well. But to touch on that point, yeah, he's 100% correct. They are criminals for a reason. They don't follow the law. So what makes you think creating a law is going to stop criminals from following a law that they were going to break anyway? That makes no sense. Makes zero sense at all. But of course, you know, they don't. Lights on. Nobody's home.
So what are we going to do? Let's stop having the same conversation and let's start dealing with the real issue at hand.
Bingo.
Like the vice president would say, what are the root causes of this? Let's get to the root causes and let's start showing that there are consequences to your action. But we have got to service those who are suffering from mental illness. And I got to tell you, Lawrence, you know, we've talked before.
Yeah.
You know, I've been on so many barricaded suspect situations, crisis calls. The vast majority are individuals suffering from mental illness. The system is broken and there's no priority. We got open borders and we have individuals suffering from mental illness in our urban environments because many, and what a lot will not say, and I'll say it, many of our young adults in urban communities are suffering from PTSD. And it's not being addressed.
It's such a good point.
Bingo. I talked about that before. How everybody talks about PTSD, but nobody talks about it going on in, you know, these the proverbial hood, right? You know, you have this circle of violence and you grow up and you see certain things that happen to people that are close to you. You know, you see someone die in front of you. You don't think that affects you mentally? Especially when you have nobody to talk to about it. You know what I mean? Like, how do you process that? But nobody addresses that side of things. And, you know, whenever, you know, Republicans have brought up the mental, health side of all of this stuff going on, it's all just, oh, no, we need to ban guns. No, we don't. It's a completely wrong idea. Criminals don't care about laws, first off. Second, what is the root cause? It's not the weapon. If you set a gun on your table, unless somebody comes by and picks it up, that gun's not gonna hop up off the table and go, you know, put somebody in the pine box. That just doesn't happen. It doesn't happen. It won't happen for 1,000 years. Even beyond that. You could set it there until the end of time. It's literally not going to do anything but sit there in the same position you left it in. Guns don't kill people. People do. That's just a fact. That is a fact. That can't be refuted. Like, come on now. But also, you know, it's a shame that, you know, like he said, Democrats always try to bring up the same argument, the same tired argument. Oh, we need to ban guns. We need to ban guns. And yet they never want to address the mental health aspect of things. And that's really where this stems from. But who am I? You know?
Point, Chief. And, you know, Pastor, I got to bring you back in because we've talked about a lot of the elephants in the room. Another one is because of this attack and because it was racially motivated, there's going to be an attempt to divide all Americans.
Yep.
What do you say in this moment of time to tell the American people, don't take the bait? One hateful act shouldn't be responded to with more hate.
Facts.
Lawrence, the chief and I are on the same page. I practiced law in 2 states for 10 years. I defended the senseless behavior that's occurring in the urban arena where African Americans live today. And now I am burying that criminal behavior that's killing so many of our young people, killing so much of our future. Here's the reality. Life has been devalued. Life has been reduced to a choice, whether it's a mother aborting a child or whether it's a brother pulling a trigger on another brother. Life has little or no value.
Facts.
Our values have deteriorated over time. From 1963, 1968 to now, deterioration of the values in our African American community. Life means nothing. Death is in the power of the man with the trigger. What we have to focus in on, if we go into the root cause, is the F word. No expert is going to use the F word, but the chief knows I'm right. It's the family. The breakdown of the family leads to the breakdown of the neighborhood, the community, and the city. So we get what we get, where there's no authority in the family, when there are no boundaries set by the family, where there are no consequences enforced by the family in the lives of these young people, and no discipline instilled by the leadership of that family, basically fathers, we get what we get. Yeah. We get young people who encounter cops, young people who encounter courtrooms, young people who encounter correction officers, and ultimately cemeteries. It's in Baltimore, St. Louis, Chicago. I agree with the chief on this. We are fighting the same battle. He's from a law enforcement perspective. I'm not law anymore. I'm working with young people every day, and I see it every day. And I'm telling you, it seems like we're losing the
Pastor,
battle.
you are spot on. Chief, spot on. We are praying for the folks of Jacksonville, the 3 victims, as well as all the families that have been impacted by this. Thanks so much for joining us.
You know, at this point, you know, if people aren't going to listen, man, I don't even know. I don't know what to do at this point, you know, because Larry Elder has been saying that for years. The breakdown of the family. Barack Obama even said it. Barack Obama acknowledged it. And yet Democrats especially still want to push oh, we got to ban weapons. Oh, no, it's the weapons. It's the weapons. You've tried that for a long time. Hasn't worked. Let's try the Republican way. Let's see if it works. Because clearly your way ain't working. And, you know, when, you know, we talked about hardening the schools. Oh, no, we don't want to make schools look like prisons. So what? You continue to have kids as sitting ducks until the next tragedy happens, and then you want to politicize it and put it out there and push this gun control narrative on us again? Is that what you plan on doing? It's exactly what they plan on doing, because that's exactly what they are doing. As soon as the next, you know, school tragedy happens, right? They're going to come out here the same way they have been the last times they, you know, this stuff has happened before, with the same tired old message, blah, 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 the same old thing. Oh, we need to march in the streets, yada, yada, yada. And I'm like, yo, y'all tried this the last time and it didn't work. The definition of insanity is doing the same thing and expecting a different result. So you're insane, right? That's what you're telling me. Because y'all did this the last 4 times. Last 5 times, 6 times, 7 times that this has happened. You've done this exact same thing. Nothing changed. So why don't we do something different, actually make a change? But of course, no, that's too difficult for them. In my humble opinion, they want this stuff to happen. In my humble opinion, because it pushes their narrative. It gets them closer to more power. In my humble opinion. Now, I could be wrong. But y'all can let me know how y'all feel about it in the comment section. But I thought this was an important discussion, you know, especially since this is, you know, just happened. And I'm sure, you know, mainstream media is going to take this and run with it and, you know, push the same old tired narrative. Oh, man, racial division, blah, 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 white supremacy, yada, yada, yada. And nobody's really going to talk about true issues. They're going to try to divide us once again because one situation happened and blow it up into, you know, yes, it's tragic, of course. We can all acknowledge that. The loss of life is not pretty. Like I said before, I've been through it myself. It's not a great feeling. But we can't let them do this to us anymore. It's time we call them out on their BS. But y'all let me know what you thought about this one in the comment section below. Like, share, comment. Hit that subscribe button before you go. Peace and love. I'm out.